wanted to talk a few minutes about the government in the United States, which it is not a democracy, as you constantly hear over the news and from politicians who should know better. It is a republic, more specifically a democratic republic, which was created by the original 13 states and was meant to have certain democratic aspects. Of course, the vote being part of that, but the states were to regulate that vote, and from there. But the government in Washington is a creation of the states. And the states originally were to have more power. But anyway, the founders were great students of history and of government. And one of the, they had studied Athens, which was a democracy with certain limitations, and Rome, and some of the Italian city-states during the Renaissance, which were actually like Venice, which had republican forms of government, and some of the others. But they had looked into it, and their whole point was to limit how much control the government would have over citizens. Now, they were great admirers of the Roman Republic, and in many ways there are a lot of similarities between Rome and the United States. So I think Rome's republic lasted roughly around 400 years. The end of that was probably began about 100 years before Augustus, the nephew, adopted son of Julius Caesar, officially ended it, although he kept the trappings in place. He basically was trying to fool everybody to think into believing that the republic still existed, although it was officially now an empire. Now, the republic, as envisioned by the founders, was much like that, in that they would keep the chief executive officer limited. You had a representation of the people in the House. The states, small and large, had equal representation in the Senate, so you would not allow massive population to control, which happens in a democracy. So the Senate could control the overindulgence of the House. Now, both the Roman Republic and the American Republic grew because of a vacuum of power. In the Italian peninsula, there were a lot of things going on that were not within the control of the Roman Republic, and they felt like for their benefit and for the benefit of their citizens that they needed to have more control, and so they began moving outward. And then the Mediterranean was in a massive mess and had been for quite some time, and that's another story. But what happened in the United States is you had this vast continent, not much was going on, and so they began moving, and so now we're from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And some people would say we are an empire now, and in some ways we are. The Roman Republic began falling when the elite became utterly corrupt, irredeemably corrupt, and they began displacing and overrunning their citizens, which were the backbone of the army. The United States had a voluntary military. A lot of it was made up of militia provided by the states and so forth. We always kept a small professional army. And even up to World War II, a massive number of the troops came from what we now call the National Guard, and so on. So citizen soldiers, in effect. So we have grown. We're a massive economic power. We've basically took over from when the British Empire began declining. We stepped in, and the world can operate with free trade because the United States is here to regulate the sea lanes and to keep all that going. Now you have a lot of insecurity in the world because the elite in the United States is totally corrupt, and you can buy almost anybody at any time. You have people of modest economic means go into Congress or government, and within a short period of time they're very wealthy without actually starting or building a business or anything. So that was going on in Rome. You had the beginnings of the civil wars, which brought about Julius Caesar and so forth and so on. So this short, very short summary of the Republic is for the benefit of those who keep hearing this word democracy. We were always too large to be a pure democracy. And you do not want a pure democracy, because then you would have, like California, which is just crazy, running the rest of the country. And along with certain northeastern states, whereas a large part of the middle part of the country does not want that. So now people don't have to, but should start paying attention. And this is a major problem with us, is nobody knows anything or cares about how the government runs unless it affects their pocketbook. And right now you're seeing stuff that I never saw as a young man, and I saw it in other countries outside the U.S., which is scarcity of goods. And I understand there are ships circling the ports and so forth. Our supply chains are being interrupted. Our energy chains are messed up. And that's because you have massively corrupt people who don't understand anything about how a business actually works, nor do they care as long as their palms are greased. And we have a lot of just everyday people, same thing. They don't care as long as they can wake up, do what they want to do, go home. They don't really want to be involved. So you come back to the question to Benjamin Franklin after the Constitution was ratified. What type of government do we have? A republic, if you can keep it. And then John Adams, only a moral and religious people can live under the Constitution as it is so written. So I leave you with that. Think about it. Do something. Have a good day.